I'm sick of watching Caitlin getting attacked. If the league doesn't step up and protect her, things are going to get ugly real fast.
There's a conversation happening inside NBA locker rooms right now, and Caitlin Clark is at the center of every single one of them. Not because someone handed out talking points, not because a PR team sent a memo, but because these men watched what happened on that court, watched how the league responded, and several of them decided they were done staying quiet about it. Some of what they said will make you feel like the sports world is finally seeing clearly. And some of it, from people you might not expect, will make you wonder whether certain names in this league have an agenda that has nothing to do with basketball at all. If you've been following this story even loosely, you already know the surface level version. Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA and immediately became the most talked about player in women's basketball history. Record viewership, sold out arenas, charter flights for the first time in league history, cultural tidal wave. You know this part, but what you might not know is how deeply her presence and the treatment she's been receiving has penetrated the minds of some of the most prominent athletes alive right now. Before we get into all of it, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. What we're about to go through goes way beyond highlights and press conferences. This is about who stood up, who stayed silent, and who made a choice that spoke louder than anything they could have said on microphone.
Man, Caitlin she's a beast, man. Like, and they love her. So I'll probably say Caitlin Clark. I love Tyrese, but she's another level in terms of just.
Pascal Siakam was not supposed to say what he said. When an NBA All-Star is asked a casual question about which player gets the most love from fans, the expected answer involves a teammate, an MVP candidate, maybe a veteran with a legacy. What nobody expected was for Siakam, a former champion, one of the most versatile two-way players in the league, to immediately, without hesitation, drop Caitlin Clark's name. Not as a footnote, not as a courtesy mention, but as the answer. He said, and this is almost word for word, that she's on another level in terms of the love she receives. Then he made the comparison that stopped people mid-scroll. He put her in the same conversation as Tyrese Haliburton, one of the most exciting and beloved point guards in the NBA right now. He wasn't comparing stats. He was talking about cultural magnetism, about the kind of pull that makes people tune in not just to watch a team win, but to watch one specific person play. Think about what that actually means. Pascal Siakam plays in a league filled with generational talents. He's been around MVPs, champions, and franchise cornerstones. And when asked to name the player with the most fan energy across all of basketball, his mind went to Caitlin Clark. That's not a compliment you hand out to manage optics. That's a reality check delivered in the most offhand, honest way possible. It also signals something larger. The invisible wall that used to separate the NBA conversation from the WNBA conversation, players like Siakam are walking straight through it. She earned her way into a discussion that wasn't even supposed to include her, and the fact that he said it without being prompted, without being asked specifically about her, makes it exponentially more meaningful. Obi Toppin isn't the guy you go to for carefully constructed media moments. He plays with energy, he moves fast, and his words tend to come out the same way, real and unfiltered, sometimes stumbling over themselves, but entirely genuine. That's exactly what happened when he talked about Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin's amazing, super amazing. She's a great player. Having her be courtside and watching our games is awesome. We see the excitement that she has on the sides, but just like she's doing that, we do the same. Like when they're playing, like it's so much. It's a joy to watch.
He wasn't eloquent about it. He said she's amazing, super amazing, that watching her play is a joy, that seeing her courtside at NBA games and knowing that excitement is mutual, that the players watch her the same way she watches them, means something. It doesn't sound like a headline, but let it sit for a second. An NBA player just told you that he and his teammates are fans of Caitlin Clark the same way she's a fan of them, that the admiration goes in both directions. That's not what athletes say about someone they view as a novelty or a curiosity. That's what they say about someone they recognize as a real competitor, someone operating at a level that commands respect even from people who have no obligation to give it. What Obi said won't trend on social media for 3 days, but it represents something that the viral moments sometimes miss: the quiet, steady acknowledgement building inside NBA culture that Caitlin Clark is not a phase. She is a player. And the guys who have given their lives to basketball can feel the difference. Tyrese Haliburton has an advantage that almost nobody else discussing Caitlin Clark has. He actually knows her. They're in the same city. He's been around her, talked to her, watched her navigate a level of scrutiny and chaos that would break most people. So when he speaks, it isn't from a distance. It's from up close. And what he saw up close apparently affected him deeply.
I think for me, getting to actually spend time around her, be around her, get to know her personally, she's just an amazing person, an amazing player. She deals with a lot there's a lot of rhetoric behind her that she really has no control over, and I think that the way she handles that is just amazing. Like, I think when it comes to the game of basketball, like, she's probably top 5 most famous people that are playing right now, just in general. That includes our league as well.
He called her one of the top 5 most famous basketball players on the planet right now, and he made it crystal clear that he meant across both leagues combined, not top 5 in the WNBA. Top 5 in basketball, full stop. He put her in the same breath as LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Nikola Jokic. That's a list that very few humans on Earth qualify for, and Tyrese Haliburton, who plays in that league himself, just told you Caitlin Clark belongs on it. But the part that cuts deeper is when he talked about what she deals with, the rhetoric surrounding her, as he called it, that she has absolutely no control over. The noise, the narratives, the criticism that seems designed to diminish rather than engage. He noted that the way she handles all of it is, in his words, amazing. And this wasn't a throwaway compliment. He was standing up for her as a human being, not just as an athlete. That matters, because there's been plenty of basketball analysis and highlight appreciation. What there hasn't been enough of is exactly what Haliburton provided. An acknowledgement that the pressure placed on Caitlin Clark is not normal, that it isn't fair, and that she is carrying it with a grace that most professionals with twice the experience couldn't manage.
Because everybody is looking for you to say anything, and they're going to splice it and cut it and make it a negative thing. And I think for her, the one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane for the first time in their league history. They flew private. That should be celebrated in its own.
When LeBron James decides to say something, the entire sports world leans in. 20-plus years of being the face of basketball will do that. Every syllable gets analyzed, contextualized, and debated across 100 different platforms within minutes of being spoken. So when LeBron brought up Caitlin Clark, not in a brief shout-out, but in a substantive, thoughtful statement, it landed differently than almost anything else said about her. He talked about the noise. He acknowledged that everything she does gets cut and clipped and twisted into whatever narrative someone needs it to be. He said the thing he loves about what she's bringing to her sport is growth. More people watching, more people tuning in. And then he mentioned something specific. For the first time in league history, the Indiana Fever flew on a chartered plane. Private, because of the demand, the revenue, the visibility she helped generate. LeBron said that should be celebrated on its own. And he's right. Charter flights aren't glamorous to most people, but in the WNBA, where players have historically fought for decades just to be treated with basic professional dignity, this is enormous. This is the kind of structural change that echoes for generations. And LeBron James, the man who has spent his career being the reason things change in his own league, recognized exactly what it means. There's also something unspoken in how he engaged with the topic. He's been the target. He knows what it's like to have a camera on you every second, to have every expression analyzed, to have your best moments twisted and your worst moments amplified. He sees something familiar in the position Caitlin Clark occupies. And that recognition, from someone who has carried that weight longer than almost anyone, is one of the most serious forms of validation she could receive. Trey Young is not a modest man, and nobody is asking him to be. He plays with audacity. Long threes from distances that make coaches nervous. Dribble drive combinations that take years off defenders' careers. He is a performer, and he knows it. So when he talked about Caitlin Clark, there was naturally some bravado in the air. But underneath it, something more genuine was working its way to the surface.
Hype about Steph and Sabrina. I know that you have spoken about Caitlin Clark. You're a big Caitlin Clark fan.
Oh, yeah.
She, of course, is an excellent shooter. Would you ever do like a Caitlin Trae three-point contest at All-Star?
Of course I would. I've gotten to talk to her too throughout her college years. We're the only two people that ever led college in points and assists. That's a crazy stat. I'd have to definitely practice a lot more than I have for these previous three-point competitions. Nah, I'd be ready for sure. I'd do.
He said he'd take the three-point contest challenge against her in a heartbeat. No hesitation. And then he admitted something that says more than any trophy ever could. He'd need to seriously up his preparation. He wasn't being dismissive. He was being honest. In Trey Young's world, you don't say someone would make you practice harder unless you think they can actually put up a fight. But here's the detail that gets buried in the soundbite about the contest. He and Caitlin Clark are the only two players in NCAA history to lead the country in both points and assists in the same season. Two people in the entire recorded history of college basketball. That's not a fun trivia answer. That's a membership in a club so exclusive it only has two members. And Trey brought it up himself because it matters, because it places Caitlin Clark in a category of basketball rarity that has nothing to do with gender and everything to do with skill. He's not looking down at what she's doing. He's looking across at it. And that horizontal gaze, peer to peer, competitor to competitor, is exactly the kind of recognition she's been earning one game at a time. Paul George is one of the more thoughtful voices in a league that doesn't always reward nuance. And what he offered in his comments about Caitlin Clark was something most people in the media have been too afraid to say clearly. Her arrival created real emotional pain for women who spent their careers building something that never got to look like what it looks like now that she's here. He acknowledged her impact directly. He called her a game changer, not casually, but with the weight of someone who understands what it actually takes to shift the trajectory of a league. But he also said something that required more courage. He contextualized the resistance some veteran players have shown toward her. The women who played in empty gyms, who fought for years just to be taken seriously, who pushed for chartered flights and professional travel conditions long before anyone was listening. They never got cameras in their faces. They never had arenas sold out around them. They did the work and didn't get the reward. That's not an excuse for how Caitlin Clark has been treated. George wasn't justifying anything. He was humanizing it, which is a meaningfully different thing. When you understand why a wound exists, you're better equipped to heal it. And Paul George did something rare. He held the complexity of this moment in both hands at the same time, honoring both the breakthrough and the bruise it left on the women who paved the way. That kind of emotional intelligence doesn't always make headlines, but it's the kind of perspective that actually moves things forward. Luka Doncic does not do fake diplomacy. If you've watched him play, you know this. He argues with referees. He grins when he's about to do something that shouldn't be possible. He says what he means and moves on. So when someone asked him directly, no preamble, no warm-up, who his favorite women's basketball player is, you got exactly the Luka you'd expect. Caitlin Clark. No pause. He didn't hedge. He didn't rattle off 3 names to cover his bases. He said her name and then, in that straightforward way he has, explained his reasoning.
Caitlin Clark.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, like Paige Buchers?
Well, she's okay. I didn't see her playing the women's NBAs.
She's doing it at the professional level now, not just in college. Not just on highlight reels that circulate before draft season. She's out there every single night in the WNBA, taking contact, creating looks, dropping passes that make audiences audibly react. And that's what counts to Luka. He plays in the most competitive basketball environment on the planet. He knows what it means to survive at the professional level when everyone is gunning for you and nothing is handed to you. When someone from that world says you're for real, it registers differently than any award or stat line. Real recognizes real, as the saying goes. And Luka Doncic just told you Caitlin Clark is real. Steph Curry changed basketball. That's not an opinion. It's one of the most documented architectural shifts in how the sport is played globally. He made the three-point line feel like a natural home base. He made 40-foot attempts feel reasonable. He recalibrated what we thought was possible from behind the arc, and every team in the league has been adjusting to that reality for over a decade. So when Steph Curry compares someone's shot mechanics to his own, you don't brush past it. He said he saw a breakdown of Caitlin Clark's release time, and it was nearly identical to his. The best shooter in the history of basketball. He didn't say she reminds him of some other great shooter. He said her metrics mirror his own, and then, going even further, he called her a performer. He said you can't look away when she's playing. The range, the confidence, the flair. He said it like someone who genuinely cannot stop watching her game because he recognizes something of himself in it. But he didn't stop at the shooting. He talked about her floor game, her passing, her court vision, the elements of her playing that casual viewers might miss, but that basketball lifers see immediately and file away as markers of genuine greatness. He said the total package is already there. Not developing, not promising, already there. And before he said any of that, he said something that landed like a thunderclap. He was tired of watching her get targeted. He said if the league didn't do more to protect her, things were going to escalate quickly. That's not a polite nudge. That's a warning from one of the most respected human beings in American sports. When Steph Curry decides the situation has gone too far, you have officially gone too far. Jayson Tatum was handed one of the easiest moments of his public life. A simple question: who's your favorite WNBA player? Softball. Layup. An opportunity to say something kind, something true, something that acknowledges the massive story unfolding just a few feet outside the NBA's perimeter. He was not asked to analyze, critique, or take a stance. He was just asked to name a player he enjoys watching. He named Aya Wilson. Now, Wilson is an extraordinary talent and a multi-championship winner. This is not about Aya Wilson. The question is, given everything happening around Caitlin Clark, the record attendance, the sky-high viewership numbers, the cultural tidal wave, the fact that even people who have never watched a minute of basketball in their lives know her name, how does the biggest Celtic since Paul Pierce look at all of that and offer a response that is specifically and pointedly not her name? There was no qualifier. No, she's great too. No acknowledgement that Clark exists as a phenomenon. Just a clean, deliberate pivot. Make no mistake, when someone of Tatum's profile and media savvy gives that kind of response to that kind of question, it isn't an accident. He knew exactly what he was doing. Whether it was personal, political, or something else entirely, that non-answer communicated a very clear position. I am choosing not to participate in this narrative. For an athlete who has faced his own share of criticism about showing up in big moments, the decision to sidestep the biggest moment in women's basketball history is, at minimum, a curious one. Kevin Durant's influence on the sport conversation is almost unparalleled. He's been a central character in basketball's biggest storylines for the better part of 2 decades. His opinions generate think pieces, debates, counter-arguments. When KD makes a choice in public, it reverberates. So the moment he was asked to name his favorite female athlete, the room was watching. He named Angel Reese. Let's be precise here. Angel Reese is a legitimate basketball player. This isn't a critique of her game or her trajectory. But in the context of this specific question, at this specific moment in sports history, when Caitlin Clark has spent an entire season breaking viewership records, selling out venues coast to coast, pushing a league toward economic milestones it has never come close to reaching before, while simultaneously absorbing more criticism and scrutiny than any player in recent women's sports memory. Choosing Angel Reese was not a neutral basketball opinion. It was a pointed selection. Durant knows exactly how media narratives work. He's lived inside them for years. He's used social media to send messages, retweeted things with intent, and engaged in public discourse with a sophistication that makes it impossible to chalk this up to casual oversight. When KD picks the player whose name has been most frequently positioned against Clark's throughout the year's biggest controversies, he's not just answering questions. He's weighing in. And the weight comes down hard on a specific side. The athletes who showed up for Caitlin Clark, Steph, LeBron, Pascal, Tyrese, Trae, Luka, Obi, Paul, they didn't have to do what they did. They could have given neutral answers, changed the subject, talked about respecting all players. Instead, they chose to be specific. They chose to be honest. And their honesty painted a picture of a player who has already reached a tier that very few athletes in any sport ever occupy. Here is what all of this adds up to. The NBA is not supposed to be in a conversation about the WNBA's most galvanizing player. That's not how these worlds have historically operated. The leagues exist in parallel. Same sport, different orbits, different economic realities, different media coverage. And yet, right now, in 2024, the most prominent athletes in men's basketball cannot stop talking about Caitlin Clark. Some of them because they genuinely see themselves in her. Some because they respect what she's absorbing without crumbling. Some because silence, for them, was not an option once things started getting out of hand. And some, a smaller number, but a telling one, because they made a deliberate calculation to look the other way, or worse, to nudge the narrative in a direction that doesn't serve her. Steph Curry sees his own shot in her release. LeBron sees the weight of cultural transformation on her shoulders and recognizes it from personal experience. Tyrese Haliburton watches her navigate daily chaos from close range and calls what she does remarkable. Pascal Siakam says she generates more fan energy than some of his own teammates. Trey Young shares a statistical distinction with her that belongs to only 2 people in college basketball history and is not shy about recognizing it. Luka Doncic says she's doing it for real at the professional level. And for Luka, that's the only measure that counts. Paul George finds the language to explain why this moment is complicated without excusing any of the ugliness. And Obi Toppin just tells you she's amazing the way a person says something amazing when they actually mean it. Then there's Tatum. Then there's Durant, and their choices, both deliberate in their own way, reveal that Caitlin Clark's presence in this conversation is not universally welcome, which is, ironically, one of the clearest possible signs that what she's doing is historically significant. Mediocre things do not provoke this kind of response. Only things that matter, things that threaten to change the order of something, draw this level of engagement and this level of resistance simultaneously. She is averaging ridiculous numbers in a league where players have been trained to target her. She's showing up every night to arenas she helped fill. She is handling questions, controversies, and on-court confrontations with a composure that would make veterans with twice her experience look shaky. She was left off the Olympic team and still didn't break. She's still here. Still playing, still performing. And she's doing all of this in just the early stages of what figures to be a very long career. If the NBA's most celebrated players are already this divided, already this affected, already this vocal, imagine what happens over the next 5, 10, 15 years. Imagine what this conversation looks like when she has a championship, when the league has doubled its viewership again, when the players who dismissed her have to reconcile their choices with a legacy that keeps growing. That's the thing about genuine impact. It doesn't wait for everyone to agree. It builds with or without approval. Caitlin Clark is not asking for permission to be great. She's just out there being exactly that. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who impressed you the most from this list? And who disappointed you the most? The comments section is about to be interesting on this one. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on, because this story is nowhere near finished. Click the next video on your screen. We'll see you there.